Welcome to InterSystems Data Fabric Studio with the Health module, unlocking your health data's potential for AI and analytics. My name is Julie, and I'm the product manager for this upcoming offering that is now available for private EAP. Yesterday, Daniel showed us a taste of this new tool during the keynote, and today we're going to take a deeper look into the InterSystems Data Fabric Studio with Health module. So before we get too deep in the weeds, here's an overview of today's session. So first, we're going to outline some key health data opportunities. Second, we're going to introduce the Data Fabric Studio with Health module on a deeper level. Third, we will outline our target user personas and how they will benefit from this offering. Fourth, we'll go through a step-by-step demo, diving deeper into the use case that was introduced during yesterday's keynote. And finally, we will look at next steps for this offering into the future. So here in Orlando, it's the home of Universal Studios, and I'm sure everyone's familiar, especially because of last night. But the Universal Studios Parks integrates a bunch of experiences from many different media universes, such as Harry Potter, Jurassic Park, Super Mario, and even The Simpsons. Each of these sections service different people, have different rides, foods, and more. And despite these often clashing styles, Universal Studios connects all of these at once. You can eat a giant pink donut while wearing a wizard robe while walking through a dinosaur-filled jungle. And just like these individual worlds, health enterprises are comprised of different domains that each serve their own purposes, contain different data structures, and all of that must follow different guidelines. So, for example, operational, devices, clinical, and financial data. So just like before, we want to bring together these worlds to have an interconnected experience. Health enterprises in particular have the challenge of connecting and analyzing data across different domains. When you have workforce management in one system, patient billing in another, and health records in yet another system, it becomes difficult to bring it all together to understand how the hospital is actually performing. Currently, this requires a lot of manual labor and time to accomplish. So to truly unlock the magic inside of these data silos, we need to create an interconnected and accessible framework. So before we get into that, let's talk about some of the opportunities that are floating around. We are actually in the midst of a healthcare data explosion. As Capital Markets reports, approximately 30% of the world's data volume is generated by the healthcare industry today. This is amazing news because this is data that fuels research, expedites patient care, and makes the world a healthier place. And now more than ever, people are finding more and more ways to utilize healthcare data with other forms to improve lives. This trend is reflected in the projected growth of the healthcare data industry market, which Lee and Kim report various analytical institutions have estimated upwards of 39%, dwarfing other industries such as manufacturing by 6%, financial services by 10%, and media and entertainment by 11%. So, how do we tap into this energy? Well, Gartner reports that data acquisition is actually where the industry is struggling more than data modeling. So the constraints of today are data accuracy, availability, security, and access, blocking delivery of analytics products and key decisions. So to unlock the magic behind our data and address these market trends, we have identified 3 key data opportunities. First, with all this data flying around, we need to ensure that our data is a reusable asset. That means one view of the data reusable by all of its downstream use cases, ensuring consistency across your data universe. Second, we need to provide rich governance capabilities that allows you to monitor and provision your data from one central location securely. And third, we need to enable data exploration, allowing users to discover data relationships across sources and trace historical lineages. This will also help prevent duplication of data and workflows. So to help you get the most out of your health data, InterSystems Data Fabric Studio with Health module lies in the center of your data universe. It is a healthcare enterprise data provisioning tool that offers a new approach to accessing data, delivering the right data to the right person at the right time in a secure and controlled environment. This self-service, fully managed cloud offering lets your IT team provision users with the healthcare enterprise data they need and the capacity to use it as needed on demand. So here's the overall summary of the tool. It offers a new approach to connect, control, persist, and analyze healthcare enterprise data via a low-code, no-code user experience. With the addition of the health module, you'll get business and system connectors, healthcare-related data models and data sets that you can use or expand for your needs, support for FHIR, and much more. This is all under one common governance, which means you don't have to worry about diverse security policies or mismatched metadata. So let's drill deeper into the capabilities that Data Fabric Studio offers. So here is an overview again of the Data Fabric Studio with Health module. The teal squares in particular indicate where in the base Data Fabric Studio offering that the health module will provide more health-specific capabilities. So at InterSystems, we help our customers build a data fabric that ensures a simple, unified experience to access all of your data, whether you are a business user, a data scientist, an application, or a bot. So the key actions here are connect, control, persist, and use. So again, with the health module, you'll get health-specific connectors that will allow you to easily connect your health data along with your other data sources. You'll also have your data schemas visible through a comprehensive data catalog, empowering engineers and analysts to explore available data schemas, increasing visibility. Data Fabric Studio also allows you to control your data by allowing you to define workflows, which involves validation, reconciliation, and promotion to your target data models. Data that flows through these pipelines are automatically tagged with metadata, allowing users to view the historical state of the data. Users can also define specific queries to monitor over time in snapshots. And once data is curated in the system, users are able to access the data in a variety of ways, whether it's through a Python Jupyter notebook, analysis tools, applications, or to LLM services. And all of this is delivered while working together with your existing systems to create an elevated data experience to connect, control, persist, and use your data. This module also works alongside the rest of our healthcare portfolio, supercharging what you already have by adding more types of data and putting data provisioning in the hands of the business. So now that we know what Data Fabric Studio with Health module is about, let's take a look at our user personas and what this offering will provide for them. So first, the data administrator. The administrator oversees data governance, and they're able to specify user workflows with role access, granular controls on data sets available, and both of these allow for easier traceability and accountability, both important for AI, analytics, and compliances. Second, we have the engineer. They can curate the data by easily cleaning, validating, and transforming data to appropriate forms by using the low-code, no-code pipeline configurations. They're also able to monitor the health of the pipelines easy while scheduling or automating pipeline runs. And then we have the analyst. They're able to view the schemas available to them and their descriptions through the data catalog, while being able to seamlessly connect to the curated data to any visualization tool, analytics platform, or custom application. So now, let's dive into our use case to frame our demo. The use case we want to explore is identifying bottlenecks between the emergency and imaging departments. So in this use case, we are a healthcare enterprise that manages Cartoon Hospital. And our hospital contains an emergency and an imaging department. So Tom and Jerry just arrived at the emergency after a typical cat and mouse chase. They need to wait for a bed opening, and they need to be triaged to be seen in severity order. So if we look here, poor Tom has a broken arm, looks like, so he should be entering the emergency room first. And then Jerry is able to go in afterwards when available. Upon physician orders, patients may move into the imaging department to get scans taken. This requires that the machine used for the orders procedure and a qualified technician is available. So if both of these resources are not coordinated, they can result in long wait times or cancellations of procedures. Both can lead to decreased quality of care. So once Tom is done with his images, he can get treated by the physician, and then both of them can exit the emergency. So let's outline the data analysis goals. So again, we want to identify bottlenecks in this patient flow that are contributing to longer wait times and delaying patient to care. In order to do that, we need to analyze patient flow into the emergency room via emergency encounters data from the EHR. So again, we need to see what is making Tom wait so long to get into the emergency room. Then we need to see which patient encounters lead to imaging procedure orders via imaging order data that we also get from the EHR. Once Tom is in the imaging department, we also need to understand the machine statuses and the staffing alignment with the procedure that was ordered for Tom. So here is the summary of the data involved. And the key questions we want to answer are, what procedures are leading to long wait times and delayed patient care? And what can we do to alleviate these issues? So let's start with seeing how Data Fabric Studio with Health Module has achieved our goal. The Data Fabric Studio empowers data engineers to create clean and curated data for downstream use. This demo will show us connecting to a business intelligence tool, analyze dashboards created from the curated data, and identify actions that can be done to improve patient outcomes. So here we can see our curated data models used by an analyst to create powerful dashboards that can help us monitor patient flows through Cartoon Hospital's emergency room. We can see that specifically the MRI brain scan seems to be having uncharacteristically large amounts of cancellations or rescheduled appointments. So let's see if the MRI brain machines have experienced any downtimes to rule out any machinery-based issues causing these delays. Looking at the machine management dashboard, we can see that there isn't any substantial repair downtime and that the machines are currently up and running fine. We can also see that there are 3 MRIs. So we need to look at our imaging department staffing, and we can see that are able to perform the MRI brain scans using these machines. And then from this dashboard, what we find is clear. Procedures between 10 and 1 are being performed, but afterwards they're almost all canceled. We find that the only staff certified to perform the MRI machine isn't scheduled beyond 1 p.m. So with this insight, the fix is a simple adjustment to the staffing schedule. And the best part, as the data changes, the pipeline updates automatically. No need to re-upload anything. You can see the impact of your actions in your data in real time. So using InterSystems Data Fabric Studio with Health Module, field analysis, we're able to make lasting change in our health enterprise, accelerating patient to care and improving patient outcomes. So the next time Tom and Jerry visit the cartoon hospital, they're able to get treatment faster. And it goes beyond Tom and Jerry. By expediting the data curation and access process, we are getting our data already ready for analysis, research, monitoring, and more. Data Fabric Studio with Health Module allows you to get real-time updates on the hospital's condition to improve patient care throughout. So now that we have seen the outcomes that the Data Fabric Studio can provide, let's start at the very beginning. Our story starts with governance. Database admins can define users, roles, and permissions easily using a no-code interface. So here's the management section. This is where you can register users, define user roles, and also set up role privileges. So you can define application privileges, so what parts of the application are visible, and you can also define what data they're able to see through specific tables, or you can also specify entire schemas. Next, we will easily set up an array of data sources at our fingertips. We can choose from the pre-built connectors to a variety of data types and purposes. Today, we will walk through setting up an EHR data source to bring in emergency room, imaging procedure, and encounter data. So here you can see all of the pre-built data connectors available to you. For this use case, we've already set up the maintenance management for the machine statuses, resource management for staffing, and operational data sources. Now, let's set up the EHR data source together. So here we have to specify the name, so we're having IntelliCare, specify the credential involved, the URL, and the type of the database, and we can test the connection. And it's successful. So as you can see, setting up your own data sources is as easy as click, configure, connect. With our data sources connected, we can now bring in our specific data schemas with the fields we are interested in. So we'll import the schemas from the data source, and then we can browse those schemas through the data catalog together. So since we want to determine the timing of patient movements, we need to bring in the emergency patient encounters and imaging orders from our EHR. Once the schemas are imported, users can explore the connected data schemas via the catalog. So here we just have to publish those drafts, and they'll be able to be inside of our data catalog. Here, users can search, categorize, and inspect their visible data schemas. We can also look at our final data models, and clicking into a model or a schema, we can look at the descriptions and fields and get familiar with them. And now that we understand our source schema and target data models, we're now prepared to build a pipeline in just a few steps. Integrate, transform, reconcile, and promote. And then we can run our pipeline. So first, we stage the schema using a staging activity where we choose the fields from the schemas that we care about for this pipeline into our staging table. This is the table that contains the metadata that allows for the forensic of our data. After staging and choosing which fields we like, we can then apply transformations. So for example, we can create a status based off of a timestamp condition. We could also use built-in transformations, such as upper, lower, trimming, and more. So after we've created our transformations, we can also then validate the data for quality. Every time the pipeline is running, you can easily spot errors to your incoming data. And we'll see an example of that next. We can then also reconcile it if we're trying to join tables together to make sure everything lines up correctly before joining. There is a quick match to match same named fields together, and you can be specific on how exact you want the match to be. And then finally, we can promote it to our custom target data model that we have viewed in the catalog before. So here we're just setting up the promotion activity, and we're going to be walking through setting up the first promotion item. So at this stage, you can specify what fields you want to promote from which staging table from the first step, and then choose the target schema. So here, we're just selecting everything from our imaging procedures staging table, looking at the fields, and then we have to select the target schema that we viewed prior. And then you can auto map to match all the source and target fields according to name. And then here we have to find the rest of the data models from the other data sources and schemas we brought in for this use case. So now that we've finished our pipeline, we can finally run it and do something. So here on the management page, we can manually run the pipeline through the pipeline management page and view the results of the previous runs. You can also schedule when pipelines are run to automate the process. And you can schedule based off of a calendar, or you can set up dependencies for the pipeline to run after. Here you can also specify what email lists to send notifications upon error or success to, and who is responsible for handling any exceptions. So this is useful for pipeline monitoring and management. Now that we have built a pipeline together and we've seen a successful pipeline run, let's see what happens when things go wrong. So we're going to define some validation rules together, analyze the results, and then identify the data issues. So here we're creating the validation rule on our pipeline. Just like with transformations, you can use built-in and configurable validation rules like checking for null, specifying numeric range, or seeing if it changed since the last load, or you can create a custom SQL expression. So you can also specify the severity of the validation rule failing. So upon failure, you can either end the process or it can just continue running with a warning. So here, we are going to create a few rules. And this is just to make sure that the order time, procedure start time, and procedure end times make logical sense. So for example, the order must happen before the procedure starts, and the procedure must start before the procedure ends. Okay, so now that we have set up some validation rules, let's run that pipeline again and see if any validation errors come up. So back to that management page, and we can manually run it again. Awesome. And then now we can look at the run report to inspect any validation failures. So we can see that there are some failures present. And now that we know this, we can inspect the data to figure out why. So it looks like order before procedure start failed. So let's take a look at some of the data here. And looking at that, we can see that there are some negative durations. Well, I guess you might have to trust me on that. But there are some negative durations, which is obviously not right. And it looks like there may have been some improper data entry for those times. And again, if we did not catch this, we would have a misunderstanding of the actual imaging wait times and durations. which would affect our decision-making before. So let's fix this and see if the validation passes, and there's like zeros, and you can see how you can monitor and diagnose data and pipeline issues through defining validation rules. Okay. In addition to finding data and pipeline issues, Data Fabric Studio with Health module can be augmented with the Virtual Assistant module to enable exploration of your data schemas. The assistant allows you to identify potential analyses with our data models, help us construct queries, and show visualizations of our data quickly. Okay, so here I'm just asking, based on my data, what insights could I get? And the assistant is able to look through the data schema fields and descriptions in a catalog and construct a relevant answer. So some recommendations are bed pricing, imaging service usage, and imaging machine inventory analyses. We can also ask the assistant to tailor a query to get the number of procedures canceled due to missing staff procedures by procedure and graph the results. So here we can see this is a tool that allows us to more easily understand the shape of our data schemas faster. Okay, so now that we have seen a thorough demo of how this Data Fabric Studio with Health module works, let's look at next steps. So Data Fabric Studio with Health module is now available for private EAP, and some of the features included are, it's built for healthcare, so there's going to be a data model library that contains, for example, the OMOP data model, health data connectors such as human and health service adapters, and health vocabulary support such as LOINC and SNOMED. There's also going to have improved database management, allowing for granular data governance and data lineage tracing through the staging tables and snapshots. And it will also have streamlined data connections via SAP HANA and Salesforce connectors and streaming via Kafka. So where are we going into the future? We want to round out our healthcare connectors by adding InterSystems product connectors to even further streamline data access, so like to HealthShare and IntelliCare, as well as adding FHIR ingestions like FHIR to SQL and FHIR to OMOP, baked into existing IDFS workflows. We want to allow users to create custom assistants with specialized knowledges via what we call narratives. We also are going to add easy RAG capabilities to create vectors on your specified data and having this be accessible via API so this can drive other AI and ML initiatives on your data. Looking a bit more into the future, we'll be adding a graphical view into data lineage, AI-empowered FHIR integrations, further streaming support, connectors to health tools such as ODC tools, more fleshed out data governance enhancements such as click and go user logging. And into the future, we want to have healthy data services that helps you adjust your data, such as health data de-identifier capabilities. We want to further enhance the pipeline experience, allowing advanced configurations, and users will be able to bring external agents into the system to work alongside the existing agents. And also with added dynamic compute, users can bring processing to their data, allowing services to spin up and down on command. So to wrap it all up, InterSystems Data Fabric Studio with Health module will help your health enterprises leverage your data's potential by collecting data from disparate sources, providing easy-to-use interfaces to transform and combine data, and integrating with analytics tools and AI ML pipelines. This allows you to access data in an easier way by helping you make data consumable and ensure data quality. It also provides you out-of-the-box transformations and validations for your data engineers to curate the data, making the data more consumable. This also makes data ready to use with proper data governance. Also that downstream systems can rest comfortable knowing that the data is high quality, streamlining applications, AI ML training, and analytics. All this with an addition of healthcare flavors such as datasets, OMAP, and more. So again, this offering is available now for private EAP. So here's a QR code. This will allow you to provide feedback on the products. And yeah, it'll take you to that page so you can see what other things we have available for private EAP as well. And if you're interested in learning more about InterSystems Data Fabric Studio, I mean, this is the last session, but there will be videos that are going to be available, so you can check these videos out for more context. Okay, and thank you for joining me in this session today.